Welcome to Shaq's house. Shaq's house. That's our Shaq. You're now in Shaq's house. Welcome to Shaq's house.
What's up, Shaq Housers? How you doing? It's your boy Shaq House here. Hope your week's been going well. This weekend, I'm gonna check out that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie. And inevitably, I will be using my phone to use Shazam like every 5 minutes while I watch that film, because they blow their load on the soundtrack for those movies more than they do anything else. But it's cool, though. I discover older songs I never heard before or things I haven't heard in a long time. But what we're going to be talking about today, like I said before, Etch-a-Stretch mutants. That's right, mutants whose powers involve stretching their bodies out. We got 3 of them today. We got 2 blonde-haired white chicks and a cholo gangbanger. Just watch. Alright folks, let's get started. Serpentina. Serpentina's mutant power was to generate a negation field which temporarily nullified the structural integrity of her entire molecular structure, including her bones, muscle, and tissue. This effect made her extraordinarily pliant and capable of stretching her form to a significant degree without tearing. Heavy physical trauma or pressure, however, could still injure her, but most minor forms of injury will mold in her flesh without causing any real harm. She frequently used her powers to extend the length of her arms, reaching for distant objects, wrapping them around an opponent to constrict tightly, etc. Alright, some fun facts. She's from the future, the year 2099 of Earth 928, where she was a member of the X-Men of that reality, but very briefly. Her real name was never used on panel and was only revealed on her Marvel Masterpiece debut trading card and the Marvel handbooks of the 2000s. She had the image and personality of a bubbly club hopper, the kind of white girl who always happens to have Molly on her. That's probably why she didn't last longer than the first 3 issues of the X-Men of 2099 before they killed her off. You see, her Phoebe from Friends personality just wasn't cut out for the brutal world of 2099. Next, Rubbermaid. Rubbermaid is a mutant born with the power of ultra elasticity. She can convert her bodily mass into a highly rubbery state at will, allowing her to stretch her body to many times its original length and flatten it to the thickness of a sheet of paper. Rubbermaid can squeeze herself through tight spaces, reach objects from great distances, and wrap around objects multiple times to hold them steady and immobilized. She can also absorb impact to a certain degree, yielding with physical blows without suffering any injury. Some fun facts. Not much is known about the mutant known as Rubbermaid, other than the fact that she had a crush on a mutant named Jeffrey Garrett. From her last name, I'm only guessing that she's Jewish, and from her yearbook photo, she was known to be quite the gossiper. She lost her powers on M-Day and was one of the many kids blown up on that school bus by William Stryker, but she's since been resurrected on Krakoa, where she's had interactions with Deadpool and the Juggernaut. Next, Skin. Skin's mutant power grants him somewhere between 3 to 6 feet of additional skin hanging on his body. He can mentally animate and control his skin for various effects. His skin is highly elastic, and he can extend portions of it out like animated tendrils, similar to Venom. But Angelo, he often stretches out his fingers to great lengths, or can cause lines of flesh to shoot out from any portion of his body. His skin possesses great tensile strength, enabling him to support more than his own weight on a thin line of skin without tearing it. He can wrap his skin around overhead objects to swing on it like a vine, or grab onto another person or object, binding them to restrict movement or hold them in place. By bundling up extra portions of his skin onto a single area of his body, he can create a cushioning effect to blunt the impact of physical blows. A similar process allows him to compress his extra skin into more dense forms than normal, which he has then used to sprout razor-sharp spikes of flesh from his body, or shape solid bola balls of compressed skin which he can throw on an elastic line of his skin to bludgeon opponents with a solid impact. His mutant power manifestation originally left his skin tone with a light gray hue. When relaxed or unconscious, Skin's extra flesh sags and gives him the appearance of a melted candle, but with concentration, he can contract the extra skin and pass for normal. Originally, he experienced migraines when using his power, but he overcame that difficulty with practice. Some fun facts. Skin first appeared during the Phalanx Covenant crossover and is one of the few Hispanic mutants in Marvel. He was born and raised in a Hispanic barrio in East Los Angeles, dabbled in gang life as a teenager, which caused him to fake his death after witnessing his girlfriend/gang leader murder a rival. He joined Generation X, where he got along best with Jubilee, Sync, and especially Chamber. Along with copious extra skin, he's got enough chutzpah for everyone, which is funny considering his mutant power is that he's basically a walking thing of extra foreskin. Okay, here's a compare and contrast. Serpentina created a negation effect on her own molecules in order to make them more pliable and use it primarily for extending her limbs. But potentially, with the right writer, she could have extended this effect beyond the confines of her own body, allowing her to manipulate the structure of matter around her. Now, Rubbermaid is most similar to Reed Richards, how even her costume in New X-Men looked like a Fantastic Four homage. Her power also involves converting her own mass into something malleable and elastic. Like Mr. Fantastic, she can stretch, deform, expand, or compress her entire body, or parts thereof, into any contiguous shape that she can imagine. Now Skin, he just has 6 feet more skin than anybody would need, and he mentally animates it. But more than simply stretching it into various shapes, Angelo can manipulate its texture, color, smoothness, density, sensitivity, etc. Potentially, he could change his protective qualities against pathogens, evaporation in water, maybe even cause or remove skin ailments. He could contract his skin to give himself a more normal appearance, but he had migraines for a long period when using his powers originally. Now, his Age of Apocalypse counterpart from Earth 295 took advantage of his descended skin and was able to use it to kill. Now, back in the 90s, when this character first appeared, baggy clothing was the trendy style. But Angelo, he had to wear baggy clothing to hide all that extra skin. Look at this. But since the Krakoan age, it's unknown if he's made any further developments with his powers. Okay, Shackhousers, that's what I got for you this week. Tune in next week, I'm doing another trifecta of Marvel stretchy characters. Guess who in the comments. But until then, have a good week, and I will see you next week. Later!
Mansion, apartment.
Shack, house. Yes!
Yeah.